Hi, guys, and welcome to another 7-minute lecture. Should ordinary people like you and I have the right to bear arms, the right to own firearms in particular? This is, of course, a red hot debate in countries like the United States, but I sometimes feel like the American flavor to the conversation often makes the rest of us blind to what should be a global debate. Because while it might be true that it's in the United States where this dichotomy is most prominent, the overall philosophical issue is something for all of us to consider. Since it's a large debate, though, I want to zero in on what I consider to be the most important question within this. Does the right to own guns protect us from tyranny, which is the most common argument given in favor of that right? The first thing to keep in mind is that from a historical perspective, the idea of an individual not being able to possess weapons is actually a very new one. For most of human history, it's always been taken for granted that citizens can own weapons to protect themselves and to hunt. Even with the advent of firearms, it was always common for people, especially rural populations, to own firearms. If you look at the international history of gun control laws, for instance, you will see that many Western nations did not have strict gun control laws until the 20th century. So even though it's taken for granted around the world now that gun control is the norm, which it is, almost every country in the world now has very strict laws on private citizens owning guns. It's an extremely recent development. It's certainly not some organic custom that's been passed down for several generations. So when did gun control become widespread around the world then? It was during the expansion of Western colonialism. While their own citizens were free to own arms until, as I was saying, the 20th century, their subjects were not. So most people of color have been living under gun control legal regimes for far longer than what we call the West. This makes strategic sense. When you rule over a population and when you want to retain power, one of the first things you need to do is ensure that you have a monopoly on violence, that you're the only party on board with actual firepower to speak of. And they didn't revert to their former ways, all these colonies. When they got independence, they kept most of the laws their colonial masters had imposed on them because governments found these rules much more conducive to ruling with an iron fist. So those laws stay to this day, even in countries that are no longer colonies. The pro-gun side argues that this makes tyranny much easier to implement, that taking away our guns is akin to government oppression. There are strengths and weaknesses to this argument. The strength of the argument is the historical accuracy of the statement, as it's absolutely true, as I just pointed out, that gun control has been a major tool through which people of color, indigenous populations, and resistance groups have been oppressed. It is also absolutely true that having a disarmed population allows governments to commit all kinds of atrocities with immunity if they choose to. For instance, with the Tiananmen Square massacre, where the Chinese slaughtered thousands of peaceful protesters, would that have happened if the people had the right to bear arms in China? In 1989, probably not. And many say that something like the Tiananmen Square massacre can never happen in the United States because the citizens would have the guns to protect themselves from such a government. But this line of reasoning also becomes the big weakness of the pro-gun argument, because if you look at the technology most armies and police forces have today, there is nothing you can buy on the private market that could possibly put up resistance. Go look at what the NYPD has, for instance. You could have every New Yorker armed with the most powerful gun possible from the private market, and the NYPD, with its $1 billion arms budget, would still crush them all like grapes. There might have been a time, perhaps before the war on terror, where this argument was viable, where you were somehow protected from possible tyranny if you were armed yourself. But that's no longer the case when you look at all these high-tech weapons that governments around the world now have. What actually prevents something like the Tiananmen Square massacre from happening in a country like the United States, right now at least, is the democratic fabric of the society. The fact that people in power can never get away with an overt attack like they would in a place like China. Governments around the world have lethal drones, chemical weapons, fighter jets. You owning an automatic rifle isn't going to protect you from any of that. Perhaps a more compelling argument is the right to use it for self-defense, since gun control usually means that law-abiding citizens are unarmed and that criminals who don't follow the law are armed. I think this is a valid argument, but then again, the flip side creates many complications. What do we do when people abuse that right, as most people do with all kinds of rights? What do we do when kids take guns to their schools and shoot their classmates? What do we do when a psychopath shoots up a movie theater or a post office? Of course, even here, some gun control advocates would say, oh, you know what, even in these instances, a law-abiding citizen with a gun could have stopped them. But surely, no violent crime in the world can be curbed on a widespread basis if other citizens are expected to be the first line of defense. And since these tragedies can evoke such a visceral sense of fear and paranoia, most countries in the world now are happy to go along with gun control laws. In most parts of the world, it's now taken for granted as a universal fact of life that you and I do not have the right to be armed unless we've gone through a meticulous bureaucratic process where the government decides whether we are granted a license or not. And this is because most people would much rather trust the government with the gun than their next door neighbor. Is this a good or a bad thing? I don't know, but that's certainly the reality of today. We could go into other issues like raising a militia or the correlation between gun control and suicide or the counterinsurgency implications and things like that. But the main issue I wanted to touch on was this. If you like this video, please don't forget to share and subscribe. Thank you, take care, and I'll see you soon.